If you guys enjoy our live NFL shows like we're doing right now and the mailbags like we're doing right now, then show us. Like the video right now so we can prove that, yes, this is the stuff you guys are looking for. Show us simply by liking today's video. A super chat to begin from Rashard Lee. Should the Falcons call about Kirk Cousins? I think Desmond Ridder bought some time with a great effort against Houston, but if he does not get it fully together the next 3 weeks, I think you have to consider it. The Falcons are a playoff team. I think they're the favorites in the NFC South with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. The Jets should probably still consider it. I think Minnesota makes sense to shop him because you're bad, even though your quarterback's good, and he's in the last year of his deal. If Kirk had 2 or 3 more years left, it wouldn't make sense. He's got 1 more year left, so it actually might. _ Steve. The Giants pick a QB if they have a top pick. Depends on, what quarterbacks are available / how high of a pick is that is. If it's the number 1 pick, Caleb Williams, you are a Giant. If it's number 2 pick, Drake May, you are a Giant. If it's like pick number 7, maybe, I'm not sure. We'll see how the rest of the quarterbacks fare because QB3 battle is still very much open for this year's NFL draft. But if they're top 10, top 5, top whatever, they're going to consider it. They have to. From Steve, speaking of the Giants, should they trade Saquon Barkley? Part of me wonders if you're better off keeping Saquon, if only to just get a better feel for how good Daniel Jones really is. He was solid last year, but that was maybe his best year, and it was still kind of like just solid. The underlying, the raw metrics were fine. We're actually borderline good. Some of the underlying ones were like, hey, there's these concerns, and then those concerns popped up this year. You trade away Saquon Barkley, I don't think Jones will have much success, and you paid him $40 million a year, and it's kind of a sunk contract next year with the way it's structured. So, but you could get a draft pick back and get a higher pick and maybe draft a young QB. So I'm open to it. I also don't know how much interest there will be given that, once again, Saquon Barkley's banged up. That's been a big concern for this organization, and it, unfortunately, reared its head again this year. So should the Giants trade Saquon Barkley? Y for yes, N for no. We'll make this question, the one right here on screen, the pinned comments of today's video. So if that ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Y for yes, N for no. From Poppy Chulo Sits, Bears trade the number 1 pick to the Cowboys for Micah Parsons. Unless Justin Fields leads the Bears some miraculous win and the Bears have picked like 23 or whatever, and the Cowboys missed the playoffs and the Bears had the number 1 pick from Carolina, it's just not going to happen. Whoever gets that number 1 overall pick, they're taking Caleb Williams. There will be, should they trade it, get a haul. There'll be those articles, there's stories. There will be that Caleb Williams should demand a trade. Florio will do it. No matter who the team is, Florio will do it. He does it every single year. There's a quarterback we're taking number 1 overall that's very clear, like the number 1 pick. Did it for Joe Burrow, did it for Lawrence. I guarantee you he will do it for Caleb Williams again. It's not going to happen. Unless Caleb says F you and is actually firm about it, which I don't kind of buy about that one. It's going to be Caleb Williams. It's the quarterback. It's too important. As great as Micah Parsons is, and there's a non-zero chance he's better than the number 1 pick is because he's awesome, it's the quarterback. What that pick means to your franchise, the hope, the ticket sales, the everything it brings to your organization, it's more valuable than what it would be just like a normal player. It's the pick. What it could become carries immense value. From Muhammad, can Brock Purdy win comeback player of the year? I think he might win NFL MVP, frankly. I would not. He's played great this year. It's like the Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners offense, except Purdy's better under pressure, and he's got more cojones, and he'll make some more tight window throws than Jimmy G would. That's a scary combination. He's a great fit for Shanahan. Let's give both those guys, including Purdy, a lot of the credit. I doubt he wins comeback player of the year. I think Baker makes more sense at quarterback, and then it's probably just going to be DeMar Hamlin in the end. Not that I don't even blame him. Like that, it's the story, I think it's DeMar or Baker over Purdy. Now, today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. It is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It is also the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including the pros and the sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. They have a vast selection of sports and stat types not offered anywhere else. You even do in-game projections once the game has started, like more than on first half second half rushing yards or passing yards or whatever. Here are my pregame Week 6 picks. Trevor Lawrence, more than passing yards. Kenneth Walker, more than a half, so one total touchdown on the air or through the ground, and more than Cooper Kupp receiving yards. I thought about Jag receivers, but I don't want to overcommit to just one game there in the end. I think that's a smart play to go about it there. Go to PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The link will be in the comments and in the description. Again, that is PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Chris B, Super Chat, $2. I'll be honest, I'm close to done with Mike McCarthy. All the things that Packers fans said, hey, this is why it's might not work for you. All the things that McCarthy was doing on offense that didn't work in Green Bay, that led to him getting fired, that led to Rodgers, the second he was gone, winning 2 NFL MVPs, they've done them all again. I kind of agree with you, Chris. There's time to get it figured out. My confidence is very low at the moment. Cameron Briglin, I think the Eagles will be the first team to go to back-to-back NFC, I think you mean NFC East titles in 20 years this season. Or maybe you just mean, I don't know if you mean, there's an NFC East curse, so maybe that's not 20. NFC title games, I think it's the 49ers year. It's early, things can change, but I think you need, I'm going with the Niners there. NFC East, though, yeah, I do think so. Madden Nation 2023. Patriots for the number 1 overall pick and take Drake May. That would be divisive. But again, I don't think you can get to the number 1 overall pick. I don't think you can. And it's going to be Caleb or Drake if you want to go that route. And those guys are like franchise guys. At least they're going to be viewed as those. Should not trade them. Big Dog Wolf. A Najee Harris trade to who and what's the price? I don't think Pittsburgh will sell because somehow, some way, despite that offense being bad, Mike Tomlin has them winning games. So I don't think it happens. If it were to happen, team that could use a power runner, I don't think you go for more than a 4th rounder at this point. The scheme is not great, but Najee's not that explosive. I don't think there'd be a crazy amount of value for a player like Najee Harris right now. Maybe with some injuries, Miami considers it. They're a bit nicked up, but Devon Achane's going to be back soon, so I kind of think it just does not happen. From Paul, should the Vikings tank, trade Kirk Cousins, and get Caleb Williams? Again, this is not anti-Kirk Cousins. I think he's a really good NFL quarterback. I think he's somewhere in that 8 to 12 range. He's really good. He does a fantastic job. But he's on the last year of his deal, and this team is bad. So you have to take the longer view and ship him off somewhere else and get Caleb Williams or Drake May or whoever and set yourself up for longer-term success. Because right now, short-term, this team might just be capped at making the playoffs and maybe winning a game. But at least, and even right now, maybe missing the playoffs. So name a player who you want to see traded. Keep it realistic, but name a player who you want to see traded. Gary Sanderson, how do you feel about the Cowboys hiring Bobby Slowick or Ben Johnson? 2 great names. I also don't trust the Jones boys to do that and or let them run the offense that they need to. Those are great options. We talked about Bobby Slowick when they fired Kellen Moore or parted ways with Kellen Moore, whatever. Would have been a great hire then. I don't trust them, the Jones boys, to let this coaching staff run their offense. Daryl Richard, Will the Lions be buyers for the deadline? If so, who's more likely, Brian Burns or Mike Evans? The Bucs are not going to be sellers. They're 3-1. They're going to fight for a playoff spot. So I doubt Mike Evans is available. Brian Burns might be. I also don't know if the Lions would give up the draft capital required. It'd be an expensive trade. I think you're talking about a first, if not a first and change. But I think Burns is more likely there. Chris B. again. Did the Cowboys do anything at the trade deadline? Maybe a linebacker they add? You know, if injuries happen, maybe. But do you want to trade draft capital right now when you're just not close to the Niners? Like we thought they were close. After last week, they're not close. Now, if you want daily NFL videos, you guys have come to the right spot. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Bearded Niner. Niners have been to back-to-back NFC title games, so make it 3. I think the last chat was not clear. I think he meant Super Bowls, like winning the NFC, like Eagles did last year. I don't remember off the top of my head what the last, if that time frame was right. He also just might have meant NFC. But I do agree. The Niners, I think, are going to be in the NFC title game again this year. It'll probably be Niners, Philadelphia. Those two teams with the class of the NFC right now. Sorry, Lions, and I'd say sorry, Cowboys, but you just got your, rocked 42-10. Zaire Brown, trade Josh Jacobs or Devontae Adams. The Raiders might talk themselves into still winning football games. If they had lost to Green Bay, we'd have been talking about those guys today. But they won, and that matters for them in terms of having success with where things sit between Jacobs and Adams. Carter Reimer, who could Miami trade for? Maybe you go back to the Denver well, and you go back to Garrett Bowles. Like maybe that's a path you consider going on for Miami and for Denver. Brett Jones, can a contender get Patrick Surtain? I don't think so. Surtain's a great football player. I love what he's able to do, but the cost of getting Patrick Surtain would be somewhere in the Jalen Ramsey, if not even maybe more than Jalen Ramsey trade. 2 firsts, a day 3 pick. And Denver, Surtain is young. Like, he's young. He's talented. He's really good. Like, I don't think that's going to be someone that gets moved. If it does, great for the contender. He's a good player. So will a first-round pick be traded before the NFL trade deadline? Type in 1 for yes or 2 for no. Big Bo, any more 49ers trades? I don't think so, barring injuries. But if there's the right player, maybe you find a corner that you love, or maybe you go, screw it, let's go get Patrick Surtain. This Niners team is very complete. It's an awesome, talented football player or team. If there's the right trade, they should be aggressive to go do it. Jordan D. Since the Falcons didn't move today, I think they might make another big splash, or maybe something to be a better team. Depends on who's really available. The Jefferson move was pretty minor, so I wouldn't read too much into that area in terms of where things currently sit. But I think it's more likely the Falcons just kind of sit where they're at and continue to eval Desmond Ridder moving forward.